Get started.
Yeah.
We're really excited for our activity today. So we'll let others trickle in and make the commute. As a reminder, my name is Bree. I have not been at the front in a few weeks, or a few months, but excited to be here with you today to get us kicked off for this activity. We're going to start with a little summary of the community engagement feedback, which you all received beforehand, and on the other materials that you got beforehand. And then Lindsay will take us through an activity for our final deliverable, and then we'll end with our next steps. Okay, first, any questions or comments on the feedback that you received from our community engagement sessions? Yes, and you have a copy in front of you as well. Sorry, go ahead.
One, because I'm smart.
Just one per table, by the
I'm not smart enough to understand questions and surveys, but the survey about the climate impact on Boise had very, very much and a lot. And that's kind of seems to be kind of like a nuanced thing, and the lots go way the heck up here, and the very much go way down here, so tell me about that. Please.
Yeah, I would have to look back at the exact survey question. Yeah, let me see.
It may have just been the way the legend was ordered.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was.
Yeah.
I think they just picked the one that was on the far side.
Oh, well, maybe I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm interpreting the question.
I'm wondering, on that particular graph, a lot versus very much.
I think it's into the psychology of like why we fill out surveys, right? Which I did do. Do they take the highest scale, as it says,
How much?
This question wasn't meant to derail.
Oh, that's okay. It cut off the not very much. I think that's what it's supposed to be. Not very much, and then not at all were the two no's. And the shading is hard to see on here. Sorry about that.
I tried to save my ink.
Yeah, it
I haven't been intuitive enough, attentive enough to realize that.
Yeah, it just went up a little bit too far.
Sorry.
That's okay. What else? Anything else stick out?
I think I was just impressed how many people were concerned,
Yeah.
like across different age range, different incomes, regardless of where they lived. It was really cool to see, like, there was quite a few people that are concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. Very reassuring.
I did a little happy dance when I saw how many people recycle, and that's just a good habit that most people have.
Yeah, and I thought it was really interesting too by age group, kind of showed what the limiting factors are. Like in a certain age group, people are really limited by their time and resources available, and then the other one has limited information available. Like it was really interesting. It seems like a good opportunity for us to tailor our programs a little bit more by audience. So I thought that's it. So I got quite a bit. Okay, great. Well, then we will move through. Okay, to set us up for today, we're going to do an interactive activity to hopefully get everybody thinking about what kind of tool would help facilitate that really deeper community climate action engagement and help us reach those community-wide climate action goals. So I'll start by going a little bit into how we got here, some refresher, like why we're here and what we're doing. But in your packet, you also received some materials the city has utilized before to encourage action or facilitate better information sharing. So these aren't necessarily meant to be like, this is exactly what we'll do for climate action, but it just kind of shows you the breadth and depth of what the city is able to produce. Ultimate Book Nerd Challenge, hopefully some of you have participated in that before. You know what that interface looks like. Zoning Incentives Guide, that was a kind of newer product to explain the zoning incentives. Curb It Awards, our recycling guide, the magnet you get on your fridge, the playground checklist. It's a very heavy image-focused document that shows what the different playgrounds look like, and then the climate action roadmap, of course. So just different ways we can communicate information. Okay, but to remind us, why we're here, the goal we set out. Oh,
You went too fast.
A little too far. Take me back.
Okay.
Okay. Here we are with our climate action roadmap timeline. So City goals to be 100% clean electric for our municipal facilities by 2030, carbon neutral city government by 2035, and then community-wide clean electricity by 2035, and carbon neutral as a community by 2050. So the tool we're building, the action we hope to spur is all oriented toward that community-wide climate action goal, and to help people contribute to that goal, make it easier for them to do so. Project goal, this is what we gave you in our very first meeting, and so that's going to be our anchor for today. Work with the community to create a climate action guide that reflects what community residents care about and how they choose to engage in climate action supported by city staff. Here's the framework that we'll work within. Our timeline is something that has to be completed. This tool, whatever guide it is, needs to be completed by December or January. So as we go through this, think about a testing period. How long should we dedicate towards testing? Should we use our second round of community engagement to do some testing of whatever this concept is? We will have financial resources and a budget associated with this. This process will help us figure out what that right number is. And then we have resources available internally, printing, IT, web. We have all of those things to offer to this effort. And then do we need to do community engagement with it to build it? Do we need to do community engagement with it to roll it out? Think about those things as you go through the exercise. And Lindsay will go through those details with you.
Okay, so the bulk of today will be an activity. You've been pre-assigned in your groups. I know a few people are arriving a little bit late. Then it'll be easy to jump in, I think, and really good conversation at your tables. So the activity, you have assigned groups that you're at right now. Your audience is each other, the Climate Action Committee. You'll have about 25 minutes to work together. We'll give you a 5-minute warning in there, and then you'll need to prepare kind of a 2-minute pitch. And I'll get into that in just another minute. And then, of course, the pitch is, what would this final deliverable look like for the community? Any questions just yet? The next slide will kind of explain more. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So a couple of different things to consider. Number one, what medium do you want this to be organized in? Is it digital? Is it print? Is it in person? Is it both? These are just examples. We're not trying to put anything in a box, but to kind of get the wheels spinning a little bit. How would it be organized? Would it be by climate priority, interest, values, impact, resilience, audience, demographic? What are the key features and functionality? How will it work? I will put one caveat in. We're not going to build an app. That's probably a boundary we're just going to set from right now. However, we have amazing tools with web, of course, that we know, but again, thinking of all audiences. So just setting the ground floor, we're not going to build an app, at least not today. How does this inspire and make it easier to take climate action? I think we go back to like our audience at the end of this is the community. What resources will be needed? Is that internal? Is that external? We can get into the weeds. Just start thinking of like, oh, this would take probably your IT team, if it's more of a web tool, whatever that might look like. How does this align with the climate action roadmap? How would different community members interact with this tool? And what types of maintenance and upkeep would it need? Now we have put in bold here some of these questions that you will need to answer. So you'll have a worksheet here, and on the worksheet, it asks these questions with your group, and then you'll take the time to work together. You have the PowerPoint in front of you. Some of you have attended the community conversations, et cetera, and what we've talked about in this group as well. We have multiple mediums, right? We had a survey, we have community conversations, we have this committee of lots of conversations that we've had. On the back side here is a spot for you to take notes. And then again, you will have to pitch to the group at the end. 2 minutes, you could really just answer these top questions. And that could be your pitch, essentially. So don't worry about, we're not putting together a PowerPoint or anything complicated, but we want you to answer these kind of key questions that are in bold as your pitch to the committee of what the final deliverable will look like. Here, what my next slide is. Any questions so far?
Can you remind us, if you know, as far as the mediums, like the outreach you do as a city today, irrespective of the climate focus,
Yeah.
do you know what's most effective? Like, do you know who you reach or how many you reach?
Yeah, that's a great question. I couldn't give a specific website because the website's very broad in terms of like every page or, priority could be broken down. We have a citywide newsletter, which has about 16,000 folks older on the demographic.
With the utility bill, is it the one that comes?
Utility bill goes out to about 60,000 households printed. Of course, there's an online version, but if you do, do direct deposit or whatever, you don't necessarily might not go look at that. But that goes every other month, the utility bill. Our social media has quite a large following as well for some of the younger demographics. We also have opportunities, of course, for like paid ads, et cetera, if we're trying to broaden our reach, especially when we think of like, okay, how are we going to reach these folks to let them know we have this new tool or whatever it might be. We also have all of our city facilities. The libraries is a high traffic area. Again, I'm kind of thinking of different demographics that use the libraries. Watershed, of course, which is a climate focus. I'm trying to think of.
I would say this is some of the resources that we have available, and we can take an idea or a concept and figure out how it translates or how it can be applied to these different mediums. So
It's more than one appropriate.
it could be.
I think I go back to like audience, especially on some of these demographic things that we're seeing. So I'm not going to limit you to be like, it's just one. Like you can say like, oh, here's an online tool versus an in-person of like, and here's how these would differ if that's what you guys so choose.
One follow-up on that one.
Yeah.
The emails that we get from the mayor that have like this is what's going on, and by the way, there's a bunch to know, and
Yes.
surveys, et cetera. Do you know how many get that and what they're kind of like?
That's our newsletter.
Okay.
Sorry, that I was referring to. Yes, so we have a message from the mayor. It's about 16, maybe up to 18 now.
Do you track the open rates or click?
Yes, we have a pretty decent open rate. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head because that's another team within my department that manages that. But we honestly do have a pretty good open rate.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
And sometimes we'll do specialized emails, focus on one certain thing, holidays typically is when we do targeted blasts and stuff like that. Those are just a few off the top of my head that seem to be pretty standard that we use. Yep. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna let you guys loose for a little bit. Quite a bit, actually.
You're gonna leave that there?
Yes, I will leave this up here, that's totally fine. The questions should be, can I put these on there? No, I'll leave these up here, yes. But some of the questions of like, what would your pitch look like? At the end, when we get to each of your groups kind of presenting, there's some opportunity for you guys to take notes, because then we're gonna have some discussion on what everybody presented to. So you have about 30 minutes of work time.
Should we just all work on one paper?
I would say maybe if you guys wanna take notes or you're brainstorming, and then your final one, yes, so then you could just stand up here and read if you wanted to for like your 2-minute pitch or whatever. Whatever's easiest, but that would be a great idea. Okay, hopefully everybody had enough time. I walked around, you all said you were finishing up. There is a spot to take notes there should be one for each of you, for each of the groups, for refreshers, because we're gonna have a really great discussion after this. It might not be one thing, it might be multiple, it might be us mixing ideas between the groups, so I'm very excited to hear each of your guys' pitches. We'll start with group one. As a reminder, these meetings are recorded and on YouTube. They are to the public, so just as a reminder every week on that. Okay, group one. You're live.
We present Keep Boise Cool. So our idea is kind of like Keep Oregon Weird, like that type of like slogan thing. So I don't know if there would be stickers, actually, we didn't talk about that.
We always make stickers for everything.
Maybe that's not climate okay, but if stickers are okay, then maybe we have stickers. But our deliverable, so we were thinking like a website and brochures, to have both pieces of it. So the website, this is what we're thinking would be like the landing page, so different images for the different focus areas. We're calling it the climate clicker. So the idea is that just easy access to information. So, water, transportation, food systems, what do we say?
Green space.
Green space, recycling. And the idea is you can click on the image and it'll take you to a page that will just break it down. What to know, bullet points, what to do. So that doesn't take up a lot of time, quick access to the information. What else? We talked about a lot of things.
Yeah, we did. Let me see the notes for a second. We thought that with the brochure, so we would want a print version of this as well that would be very simple, like a single page, like a narrow kind of an oblong, for each item here, and maybe one larger one that had all the items on it, so people could go through and see what to know, what to do, and then if people wanted to know more, so this could be scale. So the first click could be, here's some information about what to know, here's some information about what to do. And then at the bottom of the clicker, it could say, want to know more? And you could click on that and it would be scalable to more, in-depth information and more in-depth actions. So people could work through it as they wish. And the cool thing is that families could use it, kids could use it. It would be for all ages, but it would be very kid-friendly to encourage kids to learn and do on their own as well.
We even talked about doing something, we didn't fully figure this out, but like a badge system or like a reward system, like for the kids. Oh, sounds like kids. Like some sort of reward, so as they do different things. More stickers, right?
Yeah.
Stickers.
Yeah.
So, question for you, in the what to know, what did you imagine in that? And like, give one example, or did you get that in depth?
I mean, just the different things that we've been going over the past week. So like what to know about water. We could say like just a few like boom, 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 different.
Gotcha. High level facts
Yes.
and information type thing.
Yeah.
And then what to do is your actions.
And what to do with your action,
Right.
how you
Cool.
can be involved.
Right.
And we were thinking about focusing on like little, like bite-sized actionable items so that it's not anything, and maybe it'll range, but like little things that people can implement into their life to kind of work towards these goals.
Cool.
And then they could learn more and do more if they wanted to follow on from that. But we thought the main thing too with the language would be to be, encouraging, not shaming or blaming, right? To stay positive and to also not talk down to people. We don't want people to feel like not motivated because they feel bad.
Mhm.
That's a mistake.
And not all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Because it can be for sure, but try to spin it in a positive way.
I've been connecting with community groups too on a lot of those roadmap pieces. So like if there's a volunteer opportunity or something that can redirect them to
Right.
that sort of thing.
Because we thought about that too, going forward, one of the questions was, what do you need to do to maintain the system? And we thought because it could be, if facts change or more actions became available, those could be added. So it could be reworked as, time went on. And then, as Emma said, if there were special events going on in the community, those could also be added as like little star things, like there's a tree planting and, here at this time, and you can get involved, click here and sign up or whatever. So kind of combine those things to give people opportunities.
Cool. Great. Thank you. Okay, group 2.
All right. Okay, we don't exactly know what our name is yet for our product, but something like the Boise Eco Hero Challenge, Cities Carbon Neutral by 2050 Challenge.
Yeah.
What's my role? How do I participate?
So our main idea is to have a page on the City of Boise's website where we would have like a bi-weekly or monthly challenge for citizens to complete. And then as they collect like badges and points, they'll get prizes and things like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, and a lot of the ideas that we talked about would be, doing community classes on specifically how to do some of this stuff. I mean, so the Ada County Soil and Water Conservation District does all these classes on water-wise landscaping and stuff, and they're super well attended. They're good, right? And they bring in experts, right? So the city could organize a series of climate action classes, and then citizens could come. That could be one of the ways they earn points, badges, et cetera. We could pay those folks. We also wanted to know if the city could pay people to attend classes on a sliding scale, to, allow for folks who need to be compensated for their time to be able to.
Oh, you mean as like an instructor or something?
Both as an instructor, definitely, but as a participant too.
We were thinking like having tips and then people completing them. So like buying things in bulk and things like that. So those like small actions would also be rewarded in terms of points and badges. I think the main resources needed would just be like marketing and money.
And we talked a lot about this idea of having a QR code that's very well branded, that's just everywhere on any, like it goes, would Idaho Power be willing to put it on power meters? Could we put, can it go on all the trash cans, on all the, whatever, just so it's all over the place. That QR code is just seen everywhere in whatever the branding looks like, Climate Action Challenge,
branding looks like, so that as people are out and about, they just keep seeing the same thing over and over, and then it would take you to that spot on the website, kind of like what you guys were saying. If it's a trash can thing, it would take you to the trash can part, et cetera.
I have a question. Are you thinking that people could do that, clearly as individuals, but people could also maybe be on teams, right?
Well, so we talked about that too, like through neighborhood associations or through other community organizations where they wanna, especially since people wanna be, obviously there's a bunch of us who wanted to participate in this. So can I take more of a leadership role in my, in some community group that I'm involved in? Can I be the ambassador for the community in my little community or my neighborhood to be the one to help people find these resources?
I think something that I thought of as the libraries host like summer reading challenges for students. And so it'd be similar to that, but instead of reading, it would be like climate action.
Right. Go hero.
Okay, group 3, which is you back there, sorry.
Up there?
Yep. Just so the mic can hear good too.
You guys a lot of comments.
Very group project.
We totally thought we were super unique, but we also
That's a good sign though.
Yes, we're sensing a theme.
we also didn't have a name for ours, but I personally just love
Yeah,
this name.
that too.
So ours would be to have like a fun quiz that you can take on the website that has something like, are you a renter? Are you a homeowner? How far do you travel every day? How do you travel? Something short and snappy, like 5 to 10 questions, and then it pulls up your results of all of the things that you can do that make sense for your lifestyle. And this checklist would have both like a list of resources to help. So if it's like, this is a paid thing that you have to pay to do, these are grants you can apply for or ways that you can get like a sliding scale on that, but hopefully most of them would be free. They also would have a point system. And if you get enough points, you can get a cool t-shirt that says something like, I completed the challenge or I did this thing. We wanted to also have some cool events that people can go to. So collaborate with neighborhood associations, neighborhood concerts, open streets, live after 5, use the library, get people like in person talking about it. We also talked about businesses could sponsor the t-shirts, so it wouldn't be an expense to the city and people could pay to get their logo on the back of the shirt. Say something like that.
I don't think so. You took great notes.
Yeah, we think we could get easy to get volunteers to be ambassadors to attend those events. That would draw attention.
Get the word out.
That's just a way to draw attention to the website and the resources and this opportunity to get a really cool award.
To sort of expand our reach to the other.
We also talked about having like some kind of kickoff event. So like the last Alive After 5 of the season, like the mayor's there and she can hand out like the first 50 t-shirts or something, which could be cool. And we also talked about maybe needing to have 2 different versions of the same quiz on the website. One that says like, take climate action, and one that says, make your home more cost efficient. And it's the exact same information, but just the messaging applies to different kinds of people.
I think that's a great.
Some people will not want to do it if it's climate change, but they will if it saves them money. So.
Yeah, right, totally. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Group 4.
Is the record getting to you?
Okay, so similar to the team's previous stuff, yeah. But the name of our challenge is the Climate Action Passport. And the key features and function would be a contest to track people's progress on the climate action roadmap. And it'd be a website to track actions and award points. It would have that education component, give people a rough estimate of their emission savings, maybe cost savings. We'd use the website and all the marketing that the city of Boise has
maybe also partner with like the utilities. I don't know, what else do we want to add?
I think a lot of it was what was shared. I mean,
Very similar.
The gamification aspect of it, I think, is good, and like it could be some kind of recognition / prize, but it could just be recognition. It could be lunch with the mayor. It could be whatever. But and I think we were saying that the idea was like trying to have maybe kind of like your idea, but I like that kind of like you get more information later. But this is like here's impact. And like here's effort required, and then some kind of education. This is what it's doing for you, for the environment. Like yes, there's some savings in dollars. There's some savings from the environmental impact, but we like the idea of like education plus point gathering, if you will.
I was just gonna say the two other pieces of that being like the community interconnectivity, like being connected to either resources or like volunteer events, and then the other part being when people say like, oh, I did this climate action, and maybe like, oh, maybe try this, but if you did this every week for the rest of the year, like this would be your savings. So just like putting it in context with something like the EPA greenhouse gas equivalencies calculator or something similar to be like quantifiable metrics that we like crave as humans of like that we're having an impact.
We actually had the team thought as well. How do you create, and is it like you're creating it, or is it just organically happening? It's a challenge based on district or zip code,
Neighborhood,
yeah.
And then the only other extra thing, I'm blanking. But yeah, cool. That's great. We all have similar ideas.
Okay, group 5.
I know.
Let's just do it.
I don't think
we don't need to write. We got lots of slogans.
I'll
Yeah, I already know. Actually, I need the marker.
It's only slogans.
Yeah, we have an 8-pronged approach. So this is, you guys have the next 23 minutes.
Yes. We have so much faith in our city staff. We developed 8 deliverables for you.
Great, we're ready.
So our
Can you No. So we do have 8 different things, but the first one, so climate change is like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, collective action problem of our time. And so to cumulatively like make a difference, it takes millions and millions of asynchronous little actions that add up to some sort of thing. So the first prong on our Treasure the Valley approach is this like large mega scale sort of nudge campaign. And so nudges are hortatory policy that there's no incentive or anything. It's just really trying to leverage attitudes and values, and based upon the data, we know that a lot of people do care. And so it'd be as simple as having something like a little slogan that maybe goes out just social media that's like invert the inversion, stop idling, right? And so there'd be lots of these along all of the arenas that we've talked about, whether it's food systems or air or water. We'd have all these different nudges that are nudging people to make more sustainable choices. And then the other 7 are really like capacity tools. And so we're looking at educational capacity, fiscal capacity, which I hand this off, social capacity. And more so than anything, we'd have an adaptable implementation. So if we like even on a small nudge campaign, we see it's like not working, we would change it. And most of this would be delivered not from the city. It would be empowering other community organizations, if not starting our own community organization to be doing the implementation. So it's not trying to get rid of the political kind of ramifications that someone might perceive.
We see it as being a whole cultural issue. If we want to fix this, we need more than one solution. We need to create a culture of fixing the problem. We see this as potentially something that could go under the Treasure Valley Clean Cities Coalition and not just the city of Boise. Again, helping to diffuse some of the partisan things or image issues and making this about all of us. This is about our community. So we have the nudges as one of our 8 strategies, and including education. Like libraries or partnerships with high schools, leveraging partner empowerment through neighborhood associations and various other organizations that can incubate ideas and test out on a small scale what might work. And that testing can show us what should we scale. We should also have a manual. I really like manuals. But it's really useful to have all of the information that the city has compiled over the years, all of these recommendations in one place. So if I'm a business, I know where to go if I want to make a difference. If I'm an individual person, if I'm a renter, I want to know, like your website, I want to know how is the best way for me to act. Using funding and policy support can help nonprofits and different community projects to take off. City events can help people to learn, because all of these great ideas that we have don't mean anything if the broader community doesn't understand how to implement them. So having these events that are fun, that draw people in, that neighbors invite their neighbors to, that's where we get sustainable action, when neighbors start teaching each other things. Using communications, like having a central hub of information and consistent messaging to keep that drumbeat up of this is what we're doing and we're going to win. And the city also, or all of the cities, really walking the walk, using demonstration gardens and projects to show this is what good looks like. And luckily some of those already exist. Leveraging our existing infrastructure, tools that we already have, and weaving them all together for one purpose. Things to add?
I think one thing we struggled with was language. You know, and climate becomes a pretty loaded topic after a while, and really using the different techniques, sort of example of, you know, cost savings, or gardening, as you can just promote gardening. You don't necessarily have to make it climate related. Or dealing with inversion doesn't necessarily need to be climate related, but you can show how going more electric helps deal with that inversion. And I think the other final point was really using the city to try to accumulate some resources to really invest in sort of whether it's micro grants or this incubator of effectiveness, to really go out and experiment and see how the community organizations can really nudge us as a community in different directions and create that community atmosphere. Build a community to move forward and try to make progress in climate change, but make sure to be careful how we use that language, because that is sort of the dilemma.
I mean, I'll just tag on that. It's like this idea of hortatory policy as an example that I was sharing is in the 70s, you know, Texas had a massive littering problem, roadside litter, and they got together and they were like, oh, keep Texas clean. That's probably not going to work. So they came up with Don't Mess with Texas. They knew it was 18 to 34-year-old males that were doing the littering. And that campaign, which you might not know the origin of it, but it came from an anti-littering campaign. It reduced littering like 75%. And so that when we say nudges, and then to tag on, that's what we mean when we say nudges. And to tag on to this, those other 7 components are also fiscally saying, well, maybe we don't, you know, maybe the city doesn't need to know everything about bicycle infrastructure. Maybe the city can, through a levy, through a new, you know, open space levy or whatever, give capacity to like Boise Bicycle Project, and they'll be given the fiscal capacity and human capacity to make that happen. And so it's delivered from a nonprofit or a community organization that's not, again, carrying that partisan, you know, thing, charge. Messy. It's cleaner when we talk about it. But and then, yeah, sorry, Chelsea.
No, you guys said it all perfectly.
Oh. And Chelsea had the great idea of tying it all together with our shared value of public land and public spaces. That's why people come to Idaho.
Somebody brought up the language, how do you make it cost effective versus climate change, and how do you deal with that? And I think one of the biggest things we have going for us is how do we use that shared value to display a message sans partisanship. So I think we did that really well.
I'm going to take all your guys' notes at the end, so you'll leave those with us so I can read more, because I'm sure you forgot a few things or other things in there. Okay, does everybody have a smartphone or an iPad or the like? Okay, pull that out right now.
Let's see, did I go forward? Oh, come on.
There it goes. Okay, scan this QR code.
Open your camera.
Yep, oh, thank you. Open your camera, put up to the screen, should be able to zoom in, it should pull up a link. Worst case, you can go to slido.com and put in this code as well. So I'll give you all just a moment to do that.
Yeah,
You guys? What? Sorry.
There's no actual poll. Yeah, there's no
Oh, Oh, yes, it should not be a poll, but can you get to the site? And it just says no active polls. Okay, that's where we're at right now.
Lindsay, this is publicly streaming.
Yes, thank you. I didn't say the word.
Do you know the Wi-Fi password?
There should just be a public library. There should not be a password. I think it just says Boise Library. Jesse asked me earlier, and we could activate it.
Yep. There's space in that.
Just wait here, because then there'll be a poll that comes
She'll
up.
activate it.
I'll activate it, and then a question will come up. So I'm just giving everybody a moment.
What a list.
Look up if you got it, so I can see eyes to when I'm ready to move on. Okay, I see some thumbs up. A little bit of help, you can help if needed. Okay, anybody still connecting? Okay, this is gonna go through a few slides because I ended up skipping this part, but that's okay. This was just all your group's names and presentations. Okay, now we have all of your group's ideas. I'm going to have you rank them in order of what you like. This turned out way more common themes than I anticipated, so, but it's still great. We wrote them down over here in case it's helpful to remind you. It was group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It shows there's 6 because we were gonna have someone online, but that one did not. Yeah, are they still online? No, they're still online. Yeah, it was just the last one.
The group 6 is.
Group 6 we didn't hear, did we?
Oh, we have 5 groups. How am I off here?
Because group 6 was.
Okay, ignore the names.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think I had to change the groups when I got some like, hey, I can't make it. And I must not have did this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
And then you should be able to drag on the
Okay.
Slido, ranking 1 through 6 on which ideas you liked best. They were all a little bit different, similar, but there were some uniqueness to each of them.
Yeah, what if we like marked in? Well, no.
It's just forcing you to rank more than anything.
There's gonna be a time to give some more intricate feedback,
So,
but
Yeah.
just
So just for this process.
Yep, just for this process. I just want to know
Let's say I
top of
wanted to rank-
mind.
Let's say I wanted to rank number 5 tops, but it's showing you.
So, yes, number 5 doesn't exist. Number 6 is number.
Number 6, so just, number 6 does not exist. Just-
Number 6 is.
don't pay attention to the names. Don't look at the names, just the groups.
Yeah.
So you
I
might.
just right.
I was so darn it's right, but I messed up a little bit.
Are winning.
So just the numbers.
Yes, and the ideas are up here. I don't know, I must have messed up. I think because I split up Cammie, Gregor, and Chris, because then I lost one, so I didn't think that, that's not actually just one.
I'm not competitive. I want neighborhood ambassadors, and I believe people will be like, that they will want to participate. I love that's just like talk about your lifestyle.
Did everybody get a chance to do a quick ranking? It's not the most important, because I do want to spend the last kind of 10 minutes discussing as well.
Where was the?
Yeah, your group.
Online.
1. What?
Online.
At least I don't think they are. They could actually. But I could see how many people are.
I don't think our IT person is voting.
No, but if someone's on Zoom and YouTube,
I don't see anyone on them.
but they can be on YouTube every time we have.
Yeah, I guess
people
that's true.
streaming.
Go to this slide.
What?
They can go to this slide.
Yeah, that's what she's like, are people voting? I was like, they could if they're on YouTube right now.
Oh, we dropped.
I'll look.
That's okay. Oh, group 5, keep up
I can't figure out this one.
That's okay. This is just one checkpoint because I want to spend the last couple minutes just discussing a few things. So group number 5, who treasure the valley with the nudge campaigns, etc. I feel like there's been, I just have a discussion slide, I believe. Oh, see, now it's live adjusting as we speak.
Does anyone need more time?
come this isn't working very well.
I just like, I think personal.
Okay, so there was a little bit,
So can I?
Yes.
I'm sorry,
that's okay.
even though down there, number 6 shows Ryan and the group number 5 is Ryan.
Yes, exactly. Because one group I just had 3 people and ended up having to split it last year because we had some people who couldn't make it, so. Okay, a couple themes that I feel like I heard today. An online tool of some sorts that's organized. I kind of want to dive in just a little bit because I heard some hesitation on language use, which is something I'd really like. I mean, we can start probably getting a framework set up, but the language piece, I can sense, I don't want to say hesitation necessarily, but like that is a key feature probably of this. So I wonder, you know, I don't have the next handful of meetings scheduled out of what to do because I was hoping that this would kind of lead us there. So I'm hearing a few different things. One, kind of a website tool and or a challenge, and that could be both, right? And I think important in paper and online, we want to have multiple mediums. 2, I'm going to use this term because I think it's come up at the city, ambassadors or climate captains or whatever that might be. So it's more like localized organizing, whether it's through your neighborhood or where you live or your neighbors, whatever that might be. You see lots of head shaking. And then language as well. Those are kind of 3 key features I'm walking away. Any other thoughts so far?
One thought I had is, you want this thing to live.
Yes,
You know, so you're looking at 5, 10, you're looking at long term. So
yes, yeah.
That is something just to keep in mind.
100%. I think that's one of the questions we put on there, like what is the maintenance of this too? You know, the city has like something like 10,000 web pages that we are in charge of managing. So making sure it's not just like something that's created and it ends. I do like, you know, Parks does an annual update because we're always, you know, changing parks or whatever. So like they do that passport. I think they launched it 2 years ago. I think this might be the 3rd year. They're redoing that every year. So at least there's like an annual basis that it's getting updated. So maybe that's what it is. Or maybe you're a climate captain for a year or something like that and kind of reassess. So anyways, good, very good point. Other thoughts?
Broad engagement.
Okay.
That's a theme that came through.
Sure.
I agree. The level of engagement is that's going to affect how many people are bought in, and it's those people in the community that will carry this effort into the future.
Yeah, I heard somebody mention being very encouraging and not shaming, and I think that also like can be applied to making it very much like this is what you can do, not like what you can do when you have $10,000 billion.
Yeah.
But like what you can do right now, today,
Yeah.
to make a difference.
Yeah, and I think like, I totally get the language piece and being nervous about, you know, about using climate, you know, but to me, the piece about carbon neutral by 2050 is like, there's a goal, and if we're working together to reach that, like some amount of ongoing tracking of how close we're getting to the goal, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I like that.
Or even if there was a tracking for how many people engaged in how many actions, you know, that month, that year, like we had this year, Boise had 30,000 people engage in these climate actions, would be very inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the QR code everywhere.
I love that, yeah.
Stickers.
We will have
If it's okay.
some really cool opportunities with some university fellows that will be coming here and helping us track all of this data that we're hoping to seek. So they'll be here for 2 years. I'm not going to share too much yet because there's a lot of things still in the work, but really cool opportunities in the city is working on. So anyways, so yes to the tracking piece. What else? Anything else you think that's super important?
Well, I did like how Group 5 brought up opportunities to maybe, you know, look for ways for creative funding to draw in nonprofits to help spread the word and get people active and motivated. I hate that it's partisan. That's just awful to me. It seems completely irrational to me, but I don't think like everybody else does.
Yeah.
So I think this thing of kind of defanging the partisanship and making it seem like it's something that you're doing for some more amorphous or, you know, some broader kind of grouping than the city of Boise is, I think, wise.
Mm-hmm. I think back to our very first meeting when we had a discussion and kind of went through the 7 priority areas. And there was a discussion about, would this be organized by values?
Yes.
And I think back to Elaine's point of like, we care about our public lands, you know, there's lots of different key points that maybe that's the overarching thing. And then it dives into like, okay, what does that individual action look like to keep our local water clean or whatever? So I heard that a little bit again today too.
Yeah, and I think the value thing too, we talked about it a little bit in our group, that a lot of people hate other people, but a lot of people don't hate animals, and they don't hate, the natural world. They know they depend on the natural world, and they might have a very affectionate partnership with an animal. So I kind of think too of like what to know and what to do. Actions could include like ways that you're helping your pets by keeping things cool, ways that you're helping insects and snakes and things. I mean, kids would be motivated by that, and a lot of adults would be motivated by that.
I think back to like your I call it a persona as like a term of like, oh, I'm a renter, I'm a homeowner, maybe I have a couple kids, I have 2 pets.
Yes, I have 2.
Here's my top concerns, whatever it might be, and maybe that's like an intro, quick, very simple 5 questions.
Yeah.
And then it goes into more actions or ideas or must know.
Resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's either tailored messaging or a diverse set of messages. So, irrespective of whether or not you use the word climate, like it feels like if you have some that are saying, here's cost savings, did you know you can save money and do this? Here's things you can do. I don't think we should shy away from saying, do an energy audit or buy an EV, whatever, because those have bigger impacts, and those who choose to realize that are great. Maybe not so blunt, but whatever,
Yeah.
But it's also, here's little things we can do, but we know we need to. It has to be a ton of little things or a smaller set of big things. And so having mixed messages, I think, is the right way to do it.
Yeah. Different audiences, different messages, right?
Yeah.
Whatever hooks someone is what grabs them. Great. We don't care,
Exactly.
not necessarily, but we want to get you hooked somehow. So.
How much do we want to gamify it? It seems like everyone wants to make a game. It's a little mini game.
Gamification works.
It does, yeah. There's definitely an element of, like in the, at least in the market research world where I live, like a lot of folks that compete with my company are doing that. It's like you collect data now, instead of doing a survey, you do it swipe right, swipe left, and that has an underlying, like choice exercise people are doing. Like it does get people engaged, at least certain demographics engaged more, and so an element that being worked in is an interesting thing to think about.
What would be the time? What would be the time of that? Like, what would you think is? I'm just trying to think of if you have a gamification of it of some sort. What's the end, or is it just forever? Or do you get something, or is it more based on rewards? Like, oh, you hit level 1, level 2, level 3. Just curious.
It can't be just like one game.
Yeah.
We were thinking of the award concept that could be changed every year, like this.
Oh, okay.
A
Okay, so-
really cool T-shirt done by a great artist with a really cool picture of it. But each year there's another one.
Yes,
Try
there
to
are trails.
keep it as fun.
That's not city led, but I believe that is like a
Like Curved or.
the trail challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Or like a monthly feature, like in the newsletter or something for where people are coming from, because we were kind of thinking about like the national parks passport where you like go and do your action and then you like. I also think the one thing that maybe we haven't talked about quite yet is like maybe it's this group or coming from the city, but like this. Like showcasing this in the community, like similar to the community engagement pieces, but like being out there and like showing people how cool it is to do this.
Yeah.
And like the genuine impact over time that it's gonna have. So it's like, I feel like that is so critical. I know somebody said it about like the success of this continuing.
Yeah. There's another comment.
I think just following on to that, I mean, I think for me, when I think about the gamifying and the rewards and all of this, that really that's the way to maybe encourage engagement. But the goal is behavior change. Right?
Yeah.
Like long-term behavior change and also long-term awareness expansion. Right? Those are the real goals. So whatever games get us there or how we do that, I don't know, but that's the point.
As far as setting benchmarks goes, this could be helpful. When I think, what should I do? My benchmark now for myself is if everybody did this, would we be reaching our climate goals? if we can get people up to like, if you have the set of behaviors that helps the city achieve our goals, carbon neutral by 2050, then that's like the gold star. If you're moving to just awareness, if you can pass the quiz, that's a bronze star, and then silver is somewhere in between. But having a measurable, like understanding how we're placing people on this spectrum of engagement to take action and have a meaningful impact, I think how we reward people should be tied to that.
Well, and like sharing it with like your sphere of influence, like the 5 people you talk to the most, like if they do the 3 things that you suggested, like that's just multiplication.
Right. And showing how we're doing it as a community. Showing the whole picture of everybody working together, because it is so isolating to care about the climate in a red state.
Yes. But I like that, that's why I liked your guys' idea of the nudges and, phrases like invert the inversion. And where it becomes like a social thing, like, it becomes so much part of just the regular way people are talking or thinking about something, that it just becomes kind of embedded through people's growing awareness through a campaign like that. That isn't telling them really to do anything, it's just saying, here's the message.
Yeah, I think
It's weird how that social consciousness spreads, like the dynamic of that.
I think that's where I was struggling. I get very dogmatic on climate, but at the same time, I see like invert the inversion. It's so tangible. You walk out on a winter day and just go, I wish I could get the Bogus and see sunlight. And also the actions we take to do that have strong climate ramifications, but you don't have to talk about that.
Right.
Everyone can go and touch it, feel it, breathe it. We can say, hey, if we electrified our homes, work with our businesses to reduce this, maybe public transportation, EVs, we could cut some of that. And then we can have your game, you can visualize how that decreases, and now you're no longer going up to Bogus to see sunlight. You may have more days of sunlight if that adds up.
Right.
But
Yeah,
that's the one reason I like that, or finding things like decongestion, just little things that we all have to deal with, which plays into biking, like plays into gardening, because you might be not traveling to the grocery stores. You make these connections, but you're not specifically saying my carbon footprint's been lowered by X. Because it doesn't matter. I can be driving my big truck, but I'm no longer caught in traffic because my neighbors had said, hey, let's go carpool.
I worry about it. I mean, the gamification is awesome, but I sort of like if the end goal is to have like broad scale normative changes across temporally and the community, it seems like there's a lot of like elastic snapback potential there, where it's like, oh, the game, it's like like when BBP did the Go Ahead Festival, it was like people were collecting and trying to get, and that sort of like washed out after, there was, I don't know, it's like you're looking for these long-term normative changes, and I don't know. It's one tool, but I don't know if it's a silver bullet.
We might not have that long.
Yeah.
So maybe the long term, if you think of it in a tighter framework,
Well, also something that we talked about was like all of us at this table and all of us in this room like care about climate and care about making good choices, and we still all learn something that the city does that we didn't know about before. And we try and we look, and so I think making it a game to just get people in the door, just so that they're like, oh, the city already does all these things that I didn't know that they do, and now I can make that a part of my daily life. So I agree, you don't want them to just do it for a summer and give up, but you also need to get people into it somehow.
Okay, I retract my statement.
Even my climate concerned friends, none of them know Boise has a climate action.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think just awareness.
Yeah. That's a big lift, just on its
It's a
own,
huge
right?
thing.
Yeah.
If you could accomplish.
And we all focus on that.
Yeah, and I think that, to give credit, like, that's why we're here today, like, the climate action roadmap, very municipal heavy. Of course, there's like community elements, like this was the missing piece that we needed, which is why we're here today. So just to close the loop a little bit, but we're over time, so I want to be respectful. Really, what next steps are, this was super great, and I feel like we have a trend at least. It'll be our project team to kind of take all this information back. Our goal is to kind of create a framework of what we think this would look like and entail. That has to go to our city leadership team, of course. for approval. We'll have to decide what kind of resources, et cetera, are needed. And then my goal is for us to present that at our next meeting. And maybe we dive into a few more of these things we kind of talked about today. But that's what I have scoped so far.
So like next time we kind of put together all our ideas into a sensible plan.
I think we'll try and take what we have now, because this has to keep moving, you know, our goal is like December, January. So I think we'll at least create a basic framework, probably present it to you guys. If there's tweaks that we need to make, et cetera, that's probably how we'll keep this moving. And then start diving into some of the content, et cetera. You know, all the stuff that we've presented over each of the priorities. Is that what you think is helpful for the community? Is there stuff that we're missing, et cetera? So, okay. Yes, yeah.
Is our goal by December to have the climate clicker program written and developed, or is it just to have the blueprint ready for it to go?
To have it done by December, January. Yes.
It's out press and
And whole bunch. And whole bunch and down and all things. Thanks for coming. Leave your notes if you wouldn't mind, and I'll collect those.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.